Well, hi. I just wanted to show you my latest fiddle that I just finished. She's number 245. Her name's Alita, and she's a 5-string. And this is her here. I for my finishing technique on this fiddle, I decided to do a combination of oil pigments and aniline dye to get a kind of an antique effect. I wanted a kind of a golden ground with a brownish chestnut highlights, and I was able to kind of hit the mark. I think with this technique, I think I might be using this technique from now on. It's like a hybrid of what I've been doing. And yeah, I have the leaf and flower carvings on the corners of the back like I usually do, and did a very slight little sunburst effect on the back, not real, just kind of subtle. Just kind of, it was such a beautiful piece of maple that I had, that a friend of mine, John Maddox, found for me, that I decided to give it kind of a shading to bring out the flame a little bit more. And the ribs, I did kind of what borrowed from the mandolin builders, that on their ribs, a lot of them do that shading on the bends, on the corners, made them a little darker. So I always liked that look, so I decided to try that on this fiddle. And in the back, Englemann spruce, I did the same thing. I tried to give it a little subtle shading, not real obvious. And then on my let me turn this around. On the peg box, I did a little dark shading in the curves of the scroll, as an old violin would tend to have, and kind of on the heel and on the scroll itself. So I used ebony pegs with real pretty pearl and ring inlays. It's kind of hard to see in this light. And the end button also matches ebony with a little pearl and ring inlay in it. My neck also I kind of shaded. I still have to touch this heel up a little bit and make it blend in a little bit more, but the neck I decided to give it a little older look, kind of a shading thing that a lot of older instruments have. And so I have a ebony fingerboard. The width of the nut at the end of the fingerboard is about 24 millimeters. And I spaced the nut slots so that the strings don't feel real pinched, like some 5-strings. The strings are real close together. But I have them about 5 millimeters apart, except for between the G and the C, they're about 4 millimeters. And so on the bridge, I did a compound radius where I dropped the height of the bridge where the C string goes past it, or it goes over it, to get it out of the way of the G string. That's another common problem with 5-string fiddles, is that the C string kind of gets in the way of the G when fingering it. So I kind of remedied that situation by doing that. I have a Whitner 5-string tailpiece with built-in fine tuners, which works really well for a 5-string fiddle. Another problem with 5-string fiddles is sometimes they don't fit in regular violin cases, and a viola case is too big. The peg box needs to be longer. This distance here needs to be longer than a standard 4-string violin in order to accommodate the 5 pegs and the amount of space inside for the strings, so they're not all jammed up together. So you might notice my peg box is a little longer. So that's why sometimes 5-string fiddles don't fit in a regular violin case, because the end of the scroll hits up against the end of the inside of the case. What I did to fix that situation is I made the whole length of my neck slightly shorter than a 4-string fiddle, and then I dropped my sound holes, my F holes, down towards the tail of the fiddle, so the bridge could be set back a little bit more. In other words, what that means is my scale length stays the same. It's about 326 millimeters from nut to bridge. And so I have the same scale length as most 4-string fiddles tend to be, or mine tend to be. But the fiddle will now fit in any fiddle case because the neck doesn't extend out as far. So I compensated for the fact I needed a longer peg box by shortening the neck and dropping the F holes backwards, so I don't have a short scale length and the fiddle fits in a case. So anyway, that's a long explanation. This fiddle will fit in any fiddle case, any 4-string case, and it has a standard scale length that 4-string violins have. It also has, as I mentioned a minute ago, it also has a standard string spacing at the nut of about 5 millimeters from string to string, without having the neck to be too wide, which is another problem of some 5-string fiddles, where it's a huge wide neck and difficult to play. I did make the distance between, as I mentioned, between the G and the C string a little closer, which is okay, because in playing, reaching your hand around to get to the 5th string, that G string doesn't feel like it's in the way, even though it's a little closer. Yeah, this is local North Carolina red maple, curly maple, Englemann spruce, and my F holes are kind of a hybrid too, between a Stradivarius design and a Dirazi type of design, a French violin maker. So I kind of hybrided the shape of my F holes too. I gave the end of the tailpiece here, I don't know if you could see it, but there's a little bat wing, little scoop. Instead of the end of the tailpiece going straight across, there's a little point in the middle of it, which it dresses it up a little bit more. And I've got a ebony Granary style chin rest on there. So overall, this turned out to be a really cool fiddle. I love the look of it. I like the shading and the appearance of it. It's a really pretty fiddle. But the most important thing is it plays really, really well, and it sounds great, even brand new. I just strung it up an hour ago. I hope it's still in tune. The strings tend to stretch when they're new, as you all know. And I was so happy to start playing it and see how easy it plays and how forgiving it is. It's a kind of fiddle you don't want to put it down. Some fiddles that sound great are not that friendly to play, and some fiddles that are very easy and friendly to play don't sound that good, but this one hit it out of the park. This one looks good, it sounds good, and it's easy to play. So let me get my shoulder rest on, and my bow and see if I could get some sound out of it for you. It's hard to tell over the computer speakers how it really sounds, but now you get an idea of it. So that's the C and G string. It has that viola kind of sound. That's the D and G. It has a nice growl to it. That's the A and the D. The problem that some fiddles, especially 5-strings, have that have more of a darker voice like this one does, is the A is a little, not wolfy, but a little too louder than the other notes, the open A. But so far this one doesn't have it. This one's nicely balanced. I'm real happy about that. It's one of the hardest things in violin making, to make violin where the strings sound balanced all the way across. Another thing I like about this fiddle is the E is strong, but it's not harsh. It's got a more of a woody voicing than a metallic sound. I mean, you play a few little things crossing keys. The fun thing about 5-string fiddles, you could play a lot of tunes in like 3 keys without having to change your fingering. Just go up and down a set of strings. So sorry. Okay, I got confused on that one, but you could play it in all those different keys. Also, you could play in key of C with a lot of open strings. And all keys, really, like for swing and jazz, you have some horn keys that have a lot of flats or sharps that aren't friendly for the fiddle. A 5-string kind of helps, kind of makes it a little easier and accommodates to it. So. So there she is, and thanks for watching and letting me share this with you. She's number 245, and happy fiddling. Bye-bye.